In this unit, we are going to look at the definition of variables in SPSS. When you have captured your data using a questionnaire and you have coded the questionnaire in Excel, the next thing to do is to define the variables in SPSS so that when you copy your data from Excel and paste them in SPSS, the whole thing will show as real as it should be. So it is expected that at the end of this unit, you should be able to define variables from a survey in SPSS so that the data can be entered for analysis. So let us move straight to Excel, where we have our sample data. Now remember, in a previous video we entered this data from the questionnaire, which is also here. Now the next thing to do is to define the variables in SPSS, and to do that, before we go ahead, remember that the Q's, the Q1, Q2, Q3 down to Q12 are the questions. They represent the questions. In this questionnaire, the Q1 is name of your community, the Q2 is gender, Q3 is your age, and so forth. So what we now do is to make the name of the variables. Let me go to SPSS. We'll go to the variable view. The name of the variables will contain the Q's, while the labels will be the questions. We'll label the Q's with the questions, because when the result of our analysis comes, it's going to come with the label as far as we labeled it. Unless if you did not label your variables, then the output will come with the name. So let us go back to Excel, and the first thing to do is to highlight the Q's like I'm doing right now, highlighting from Q1 to the last Q, that is Q12XX. When you highlight, click copy, move to an area where there is nothing typed, click somewhere around here. Now go to paste. You see the arrow below it, click on it. When it drops down, click transpose. It will transpose that from row to column. So we have it like this. The next thing to do is click copy to copy it, then move to SPSS and right click. Make sure you are in the variable view, right click and click paste. Now you see that it will give the variable names of all the variables from the first one, that's Q1, to the last one. Now the next thing to do is to label these variables. So you go back to your questionnaire. You may have your questionnaire on your hand, or you may have it as soft copy in your system like I have mine. So what you do is either you copy the names and go and paste, or you just type them out. So in this case, I'm going to type them out as if I have my questionnaire just beside me. So what you do is you now start typing Q1 is name of your community. So go to the label for Q1 and type name of your community. Press enter, it jumps to the next one. So we'll go back to our questionnaire. The next one is gender, Q2 is gender, Q3 is your age. So let's go to SPSS. Q2 is gender, Q3 is your age. We go back to our questionnaire. Q4 is what is your place of residence. So we'll go to SPSS and type what is your place of residence. So this is how you're going to go ahead to populate the whole labels, that is to type in the whole labels from the beginning to the end. So for a multiple response question, we just entered the other questions just the way they are, but for the multiple response question, just like what we have here, the Q12, which we have the options as I down to XX. You see that the labeling is quite different. We are not going to write widowhood practice in your community involves which of the following. No, we won't write this. The right thing to do is to enter the label of each of the options. That is, as Q12I becomes scrapping of the widow's hair, Q12II will be dressing in black attire for a period of time. For how long? So let us label the multiple response question now. So Q12-1 becomes scrapping of the widow's hair. So we'll move to SPSS and we'll type it, scrapping of the widow's hair. That's Q12-1. So we'll move back. Q12II becomes dressing in black attire for a period of time. For how long? So dressing in black attire for a period of time, semicolon, how long? So this is the way you continue until you have completed labeling all the variables. So this is it. After you have finished labeling all the variables, the next thing to do is to now define the coding. Now code the variables. For the first one, which is the Q1, it is name of community. We are not going to code this one because this is string. It's going to carry just alphabets. So say okay. So the next one is gender, and if you go to the Excel file, you see that our gender is coded. If you go to your questionnaire, rather, you see that Q2 is gender. That is male. We coded male as 1 and female as 2, even though the responses came all from females. But let's go to SPSS and code our data. So we'll go to SPSS Q2 gender. When you click on this, a knob comes up. Click on the knob. So we tell it that our value is 1 and our label is male. When you've typed it, press enter. It jumps back to the value area. So you enter 2, go down, press your tab to jump down, then type female. We have coded Q2. So click OK. So the age, remember that our age gives us quantitative variable, so we don't have to code it. So the next thing is, what is your place of residence? Let us see the options. If you go to the questionnaire, you see the options. The options are rural community, urban community, and semi-urban community. And when we are coding, we coded this to be 1, 2, and 3. So let us go to SPSS to code this. We have rural, urban, and semi-urban. So you go to Q4, click here. So 1 is rural community, 2 is urban community, and the last one, 3, is semi-urban community. So, okay, so we have coded this. So this is how you're going to go till you have coded all the variables that need to be coded. That is from the single questions to the multiple response questions. Now let me show you how to code the multiple response questions. For the multiple response questions, you see that let's go to the questionnaire. For the multiple response questions, you see that they are all just on their own, single. So besides the Q12II, the other ones will have the responses of yes, no, yes, no. For instance, the Q12I says scrapping of the widow's hair. If it is selected, that means it is yes. If it is not selected, that means it is no. So we'll code yes to be 1 and no to be 2. If you remember, when we were populating our template, that was what we did. Like if you look at this first questionnaire, number 1, this one, you see that Q12I has 1, it keeps having 1. Now when you see 2, our 2 was coded to be no. So when each of these options is selected, it becomes yes. The code becomes 1. Anyone not selected becomes 2. So let's go to SPSS and code the multiple response variables. Let's code Q12I. So click here and click this place. Then say 1 to be yes, 2 to be null and click OK. Now, instead of you to keep typing the same thing, because it is going to be the same thing for all except Q12i. Remember, Q12i has a quantitative variable as response. So it says dressing in black attire for a period of time. For how long? People are going to be writing 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, and all that. So we are not going to code this, but we will code the other ones. So let us move back to SPSS. So instead of typing all this all through, it's going to take you much time. What you do is you right click this one that you have entered, copy it that you have coded. Now highlight all other ones, just click and drag to highlight all other ones that need to be coded with the same coding. When you have highlighted them, go to the beginning, right click like this and click paste. It will take everything and they will all be the same. So you don't need to waste time typing, coding them one by one. This is the beauty of it when you have the codes to be the same thing. So after this, the next thing to be done is the measures. Now, it's very important that you get your measures right. Now, all the coded variables, besides those that are hierarchical, they will all be nominal. Gender is nominal, so when you click on it, it drops down, you click nominal. Age, remember our age, the ages we are given as raw, as real age, they were not given in categories. So age is quantitative, so it cannot be nominal. So when you click on it, you select scale. Age is scale. Then the next one is nominal because it says what is your place of residence. Then the highest level of education attained, this can be nominal, can be ordinal, depending on your objective. So for now, let's select it to be ordinal. Now your occupation is nominal. So this is the way you keep going and you populate the whole thing. The remaining part of the variables will all be nominal, except the Q12ii, which has quantitative response, so it is scale. Q8 is also going to be scale because it has quantitative response. That is it says your approximate monthly income level. And if you look at the responses in the questionnaire, they are all quantitative, that is amount. So the measure will be scale. Okay. Besides that, others will be nominal all through. So this is how to define variables in SPSS. The next thing we are going to do is to copy our data now and paste them into SPSS in the data view area to see whether our definitions were done right. Okay, so let's move to our data to copy them to SPSS. So this is our data fully populated. I guess you should have your own as well. If you go into your exercise files folder, you will see the survey data populated. That's the name of the file, survey data populated. So what to do is to put your cursor on this first one here, that is on B3, and click and drag to highlight all the data. Okay, when you have highlighted, click copy to copy the whole data at once. Then move to SPSS, go to your data view, right click on the first cell there and click paste. So you see what happens? The whole place will be populated with the data. You know that they have been coded. So as the codes drop, they will turn to the labels. That is beautiful. If your own did not turn to the label, go to view and you see that these value labels will not be checked. So just click on it to check it. Like if I click on my own now, I'm going to uncheck it. Look at what happens. You see, you now view only the codes. But if you want to view the labels, go back to view and check this. Click on it to check the box and everything will just turn to labels. If you also want to use the shortcut, this is it here. Just click on it once, it turns, click on it again, it turns back. So you see that if we scroll to the right side, you see that everything is well defined and well populated from beginning to the end. So this is how to define variables in SPSS. When you are done with this, then the next thing will be analysis. Thank you for being with me in this unit. I'll see you in the next unit.